Imagine realizing that the person you used to be, well, she didn't just disappear overnight.
Right. She didn't just vanish into thin air.
Exactly. She was buried. I mean, one skipped lunch, one silenced opinion, and maybe one canceled hobby at a time. And usually, self-improvement tells you to grab a wrecking ball to fix all that.
Oh, yeah. You're supposed to wake up at like 4 in the morning,
Right.
clear out your entire pantry, and completely rewire your personality by sheer force of will.
It is so exhausting.
It really is. It's that total tear-down, remodel approach to human behavior. It assumes that you have to destroy the current structure just to build something functional.
But then you look at a document like the one we're diving into today, and suddenly, that wrecking ball is just gone.
Yeah, it's a completely different approach.
So, we are bringing you a custom-tailored exploration into a guide called Her Warrior Within, the 5-Day Awakening. This is a free workbook created by Coach Donovan Maycock.
And he's a national board-certified health and wellness coach out of DCA Health Coaching down in San Antonio, Texas.
Yes, exactly. So our mission today is to distill exactly how this guide helps women reclaim their buried strength. And the wild part is, it only requires 10 minutes a day over 5 days.
Which is incredible.
Right, all without relying on those exhausting guilt trips or, massive reserves of willpower.
And for you, the listener, I mean, if you are someone who wants to gain real, applicable knowledge quickly without drowning in information overload, this is for you.
Absolutely.
The 5-day, 10-minute structural framework is just an ideal behavioral model to dissect. It hacks human habit formation in a very specific way.
It's just so refreshing to read a guide that actively tells you not to overhaul your life.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
The core philosophy of day 1 is that the warrior you were built to be didn't actually die.
No, she just went quiet.
Right. Ground was surrendered an inch at a time.
Yeah, and the text draws a really specific line in the sand right out of the gate here. A woman who is fundamentally broken requires a completely different intervention than a woman who has simply been, buried under years of tiny concessions. Because being buried is reversible.
Exactly.
And it happens so gradually. Like it's eating, standing up in the kitchen because everyone else in the house had to eat first.
Wow. Yeah, that hits close to home for a lot of people.
It makes me think of a psychological junk drawer. You know how you have that one drawer in the kitchen where you just put little things to get them out of the way?
Oh, definitely. Everyone has that drawer.
Right. So you put your own needs in there one by one and you call it just this season.
Yeah.
Until eventually you just completely forget what's buried at the very bottom.
And that pattern just silently becomes a decade.
Yes.
If you want to dig out of that drawer, you have to inventory it. So the guide calls this the surrender scan, which is an exercise to locate exactly where those daily inches were given up.
Now, I will say, I struggle a bit with this part of the method.
Oh, how so?
Well, telling someone not to feel guilty about neglecting themselves, it's kind of like telling them not to think of a pink elephant.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just human nature to feel terrible when you realize you've abandoned your own needs for that long.
So does the guide actually offer a mechanism to bypass that guilt, or is it just kind of wishful thinking?
What's fascinating here is how the author actually engineers a bypass around that exact psychological trap.
Really? How?
The guide explicitly warns that guilt is the very emotion that put women at the bottom of the list in the first place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you feel guilty during the scan, you are fueling the exact same engine that buried you. To prevent this, the scan is framed strictly as an architectural survey.
Okay, an architectural survey.
Right, so you are checking boxes like, I say yes when I mean no, purely to gather topography. You are just finding the geographic location of the surrendered ground. You are not building a criminal case against yourself.
Oh, I like that. Not a confession, a location. That phrasing from the text makes so much more sense now.
It really shifts the perspective.
So once you have this map of surrendered ground, completely devoid of guilt, how does the guide actually help you make sense of what you've lost? Well, it shifts from topography to diagnostics. So on day 2, the workbook introduces the 4 archetypes to categorize female psychological energy.
Okay.
You have the queen, the warrior, the visionary, and the healer. The premise is that you didn't lose your whole identity, just specific functional capacities went offline.
Like systems shutting down to save power?
Exactly. So the queen governs vision and standards. The warrior handles action and boundaries. The visionary controls focus. And the healer manages self-investment and recovery.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the quiet signals, like the symptoms of these specific archetypes being asleep are incredibly precise.
Very precise, yeah.
Like when the queen drifts, you just put yourself last by default. When the warrior goes quiet, you know exactly what move you need to make, but you just freeze up and won't make it.
Right, you get paralyzed.
Yeah. And then the visionary gets all foggy and reactive to whatever is loudest in the room, and the healer just goes completely numb.
Which is a dangerous place to be.
Right. But looking at these four mechanisms, do they typically fall like dominoes, or is it common for just one to go completely silent while the others try to pick up the slack?
It operates as a linked ecosystem, which usually results in really severe overcompensation.
Oh, I see.
So if your healer system, which is the recovery mechanism, shuts down, your warrior system might hyperactivate just to keep you surviving.
So you become like a machine at work.
Exactly. You are a machine, but you are operating in total energetic bankruptcy. So the workbook uses a 1 to 5 rating system for each archetype to identify this exact imbalance.
Okay, so you rate them.
Yeah, and discovering your lowest score isn't a grade on a test. It just isolates the specific system that is draining the rest of your ecosystem. That lowest number actually becomes your starting line for the week.
Well, yeah, because you can't wake up what you haven't identified as asleep.
Exactly.
But now that we have this starting line, how do we jumpstart that specific archetype without just burning out entirely by Wednesday?
So this is where day 3 comes in, and it completely rejects the traditional engines of motivation and willpower. The text argues you literally cannot rebuild yourself on either of those.
I love the imagery used for this in the source material. Like, motivation is weather, and willpower is a battery.
It's so true, though.
Yeah.
Weather changes constantly, and batteries always drain.
Yeah. So instead of those, the guide introduces identity voting, which, I mean, I picture this like rigging a local election in your own brain.
That is a great analogy.
Right, because you aren't staging a massive dramatic revolution. You are just casting tiny individual ballots.
Yeah, one by one.
Like eating a meal that actually fuels you, that is one vote. Saying no to one minor request is another vote. You just keep dropping these tiny ballots into the box until the evidence of who you are becomes undeniable.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this behavioral engine is so durable precisely because it removes the friction of perfectionism.
Oh, no, totally.
Because a missed vote isn't a character failure, right? It's just one missed vote in a very long election.
Right, the whole system doesn't collapse.
Exactly. You simply cast the next ballot. It systematically replaces the need to force your way through a week on sheer adrenaline.
Because forcing the engine without oil is just draining that willpower battery all over again.
Precisely.
But an identity needs physical ballot boxes, right?
Yeah.
Which brings us to the 5 pillars on days 4 and 5. This is where the votes are actually cast in real life.
Yes, the 5 pillars. Nourishment, training, recovery, mindset, and boundaries.
Right.
These pillars were chosen because they represent the fundamental inputs and outputs of human energy.
Makes sense.
Nourishment and recovery dictate what you take in. Training and boundaries dictate what you allow out. And mindset is
the filter between the two.
Yes, the filter between the two.
But looking at the workbook, the barrier to entry for these pillars is incredibly low.
They are very accessible.
Right. Like nourishment is literally just sitting down to eat one meal like you matter.
Yeah.
Training is 10 honest minutes, and it specifically says reps, not records.
Right. No need to be an Olympian.
Exactly. Recovery is unearned rest, like just going to bed early. Mindset is 5 minutes with no input, and boundaries is just one clear no without a whole paragraph of apology.
That's beautifully simple.
It is. But I have to ask, is a 10-minute workout or a 5-minute mindset check really going to fix a systemic psychological problem? It almost feels, I don't know, a bit insignificant.
It might feel that way at first.
Yeah.
But the guide operates on a very specific mantra, which is, knowing doesn't wake a warrior. Reps do.
Reps do. Okay.
The strategy on day 5 is to tie your lowest scoring archetype to these 5 pillars and just build a 5-day streak.
So it's about consistency.
Yes. Sitting down to eat one meal is a tiny action, but the sheer, undeniable proof of keeping your word to yourself across 5 different energy systems for 5 days straight, that creates cognitive dissonance with your old habits.
Oh, because you were proving your old self wrong.
Exactly. You can no longer tell yourself the story that you don't follow through. That undeniable proof is the exact momentum needed for real, lasting change.
So what does this all mean? We've explored how Coach Maycock's 5-day awakening functions less like a standard wellness plan and more like a tactical stand.
A tactical stand, yeah.
Right, we've gone from dropping the heavy baggage of guilt by treating our past as mere topography, to diagnosing our sleeping archetypes, to finally casting those messy but vital identity votes across 5 daily pillars.
And while the guide does mention a paid warrior program designed to fully integrate all 4 archetypes as a potential next step, this initial 5-day campaign is really a complete behavioral intervention all on its own.
It really is.
It provides immediate proof that you can pick your fight back up today, using just 10 minutes a day.
You don't need the wrecking ball, you just need a pen and 10 minutes.
This raises an important question to leave you with.
Mo.
If every boundary you set is a vote for the person you are becoming, what happens to the ecosystem of the people around you, like your family or your coworkers, when you stop carrying their fire and start holding your own ground?
Wow, that is a big shift.
It really is. How does a fully awakened warrior completely rewrite the rules of the relationships around her when she finally cleans out that psychological junk drawer?